Happy Super Bowl Sunday, YouTube. I'm not really watching it because I dislike either team, especially the Chiefs, and I just don't watch football as much as I used to. It's not as interesting anymore. But anywho, hope y'all who are watching it are enjoying it. This video marks a special occasion. I'm finally up to date on all my videos. This is the first naturally occurring video I've had of all the recent ones I've done. This is my comics review for the month of February. So I basically was just at my local comic shop this weekend to get my latest batch. So after this video is posted, I'm gonna be free and easy until the next one naturally comes along. So it's a good feeling because that was a lot of stuff. Every day I was coming home and go, okay, what am I doing tonight, right? And now it's just gonna be like chill and natural and organic. Just as bad though. Anywho, only 4 issues this month, and they are all in the Ninja Turtles category. First one is the 4th issue of the, oh shit, I just dropped one, of the Saturday Morning Adventures line, and it is basically like, one sec, like the Turtles, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of issue. So basically, Master Splinter and Michelangelo are out picking up a pizza or something like that one night when Splinter notices this weird kind of device on one of the sewer walls. It looks like a thermostat or something, and he goes poking around at it, and it releases all this green gas in his face. Knocks him out. Michelangelo, once the coast is clear, picks him up, takes him back to the lair, also takes the device with him to show Donnie. And he explains what happens, and Donnie's like, oh, it's a Baxter Stockman design. He can tell from the back of it. And so he examines it and examines some of Splinter's blood, I think, and determines that this device implanted a virus inside of Splinter, a virus that is actually little tiny microscopic mousers in Splinter's bloodstream, and they're basically attacking his white blood cells. So if he doesn't get rid of them soon, he's eventually going to spike a fever, yada yada, and eventually die, right? So Donatello's plan is like, well, we do have that shrink ray I've been working on, so here we go, right? So they shrink their turtle van down, which they've converted into some sort of like a vessel that can cruise Splinter's arteries and such, and they shrink him down, and April's there watching over everything, so they go inside of Splinter and basically try and find the source where this virus kind of ensconced itself in Splinter's body, and then go to get rid of it. Only problem is they can't actually get rid of it once they reach it. They have to reprogram it to produce something that actually attacks the mousers instead. But eventually they fix Splinter up, and when they radio April, they say, okay, use the feather to tickle Splinter's nose, and then he sneezes, and out come the turtles. And yeah, another successful adventure, right? Next issue is one I didn't expect. It is The Last Ronin, Lost Years, first issue of what's going to be some sort of sub-series here. So in this one, it starts off with just a 1-page scene of some town in Japan where Michelangelo is getting the crap kicked out of him by a bunch of locals. Then it flips to current times where an aged April O'Neil, her daughter Casey, is looking after 4 mutant turtles. They're not teenagers yet, they're still just little guys, and she's trying to train them in the Splinter Clan way to be ninjas when they get older, but it's not going very well. They're all fighting, whatever. So she's getting frustrated, and April tries to talk her down and say it's okay, and why do you want to do this anyway? And it's all as a tribute to all of the lost turtles, the lost Splinter Clan sort of thing, right? So then they talk about the journals that were left behind from the Splinter Clan. So then it pans to Mikey's story, how he was the last of them alive after the death of his brothers and Master Splinter and Casey and everybody. He just walked and walked and got to this snowy mountain in Japan where he just climbed up it and just basically laid down to die, but his body wouldn't do that for him. He survived and eventually came to find a bit of peace in this area when spring came, and he kind of, renewed life, and he found a little rhythm there. Spent 3 years in this place just on his own. Um, i Along the way, having reminiscences of Splinter's lessons and past experiences and stuff like that, until one day a group of thugs showed up and started beating on the mutant, right? Started kicking the crap out of Mikey. And he's like, okay, this is it. At least I can finally die, right? But then he starts having more remembrances of Master Splinter's lessons and stuff. And it sends him into a rage, and he just dispatches these guys like nobody's business, right? And then he decides it's time to go close some other unfinished business, and he makes his way to the closest town and has been entirely wiped out by all these punks. So then he proceeds to wipe them out as well. And along the way, he's having doubts. Once again, just especially the fact that he's now on his own. And then he has a vision of his three brothers saying, "What, are you gonna cry about it, or are you gonna get up and do something?" Right? And that's how it ends. So he's kind of being goaded on by the spirits of his three lost brothers, right? Next was issue 4 in the Armageddon Game sub-series, and in this one, it starts off with the Rat King's allies that are playing this Armageddon game with him, talking about their situation, if they agree with what Rat King's doing, and it's kind of revealed that he's basically planning on turning the world into one giant fireball, just unloosing an inferno on Mother Earth, and just bringing chaos and death kind of everywhere, right? And they're like, "Oh, we don't know if this is good," but the only person who's ever been able to control Rat King and deal with his chaos is Kitsune, who is still sleeping, right? She's in a coma or something, I can't remember. So then it kind of pans back to current times, like what's happening with the mutants. And so Hob and Raph and the little crab guy that went with them, they've caught up to the fake Ninja Turtles, and proceed in engaging them and beating the shit out of them, and eventually force them to turn tail and retreat to their masters. Well, on the other side of it, sorry, Shredder, I was going to say Splinter. Shredder and Leo have caught up to the person they've gone through. Cuddly the Cowlick has gone through time and space to find this person they were after, and her name is Cherube, and she's some sort of mystical being that they're hoping to, enlist as an ally. But she's like, before I can help you guys, you got to help me free these 4 spirits that have been, kidnapped and trapped by this. I think it's a race of, I don't know if they're mutants or whatever they are, but they've basically been in prisons, and they're being tortured, and they're like, okay, let's go for it. So so they go in and confront these guys and basically free these 4 spirits, which hopefully means they're going to be even more powerful with these people on their side. And the last thing we see is the fake Ninja Turtles are actually humans underneath, and they were being employed by Baxter Stockman, the Rat King, Madame Null, and so they end up coming back to headquarters and getting chewed out by Baxter and Madame Null, and they reveal that the thing that when they captured Leatherhead earlier when Krang was inside of him, they release his new and improved form at this point, and it's basically Krang in the same spot, but in some sort of like this big beefed up kind of robot body sort of thing, sort of like a mech almost. And he kind of blasts off into the sky right as the issue ends, so he's off to cause some chaos. And this is issue 136 of the regular Turtle series, and the events of this comic take place during like they're concurrent, these 2 issues. So in this one, basically Donnie and who's at the Splinter Clan base still. It's Donnie, Carmen, Sari, the Triceraton, um, and Jenica just gets back with oh god, I forgot her name, the pig mutant, her girlfriend. She gets back just as kind of Donnie is being attacked by this Utrom that somehow got into the lair, and it's trying to force its way down his throat, kind of like an alien face hugger, right? And so Jenny gets back just in time, fights the thing off, destroys it, and Donnie's like, "Oh shit, Jenny, did you like relock the roof hatch when you came in?" And she's like, "No." And then all of a sudden, remember those 4 or 5 weird mutants that showed up and were stalking Siri, but they're not really mutants. They're synthetic tissue over like Utrom tech. They show up around the corner and they start blasting away. So it's basically Jenny and Donnie try to slow these guys up while the rest of them all escape down through the sewer kind of access under the building sort of thing, and they kind of follow suit. But it gets so desperate that Jenny's like, "You got to use your crystal, Dawn. You got to use it." But he's like, "Bad shit could happen if I use the crystal." And she's like, "Well, we'll figure that out after the fact if it happens. But right now we're in a tight spot, right?" So this is the crystal that he was working on. That the four turtles, remember when they used or they learned the mystical cuts moves from Shredder out in the woods, and they had to make their own little crystal things. This is the thing Donnie has, and he uses it, and basically his power that he uses is like kind of to bend space and time sort of thing. So he ends up using it, but it ends up, I don't know if it backfires, but there's some side effects, and everybody's kind of frozen in place except for him, and he's like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" And the portals start opening and stuff, and this weird metallic shark almost within this portal starts chewing stuff up. Like, it's really weird. You don't really know what's happening. I know we're gonna find out, but something crazy weird's happening. And so after that, the scene shifts to the Utroms, who have finally decided to get involved in this whole scheme and insert themselves into it. Um, so they mobilize, but Chirel, I think his name is, the one that leads the Utroms, is confronted by Krang in Krang's new robot body, and Chirel and his Utrom followers. Krang tries to win them back over. Says, "No, I'm technically in command here. You guys got to do what I say." But they're not budging. They're still sticking with Chirel. So right as the issue ends, it's these two are going to go head to head in an Utrom fight. Like, that's an Utrom fight is like two little brains with these little tentacles like slapping at each other, right? Like, that's all I picture. But they have their big bodies, right? But it is kind of funny to think of the two little brains kind of slapping away at each other, right? So anyways, that's all I have for this month. 4 Lonely Turtles issues. I'm hoping for March that we're going to have a little more variety. I know G.I. Joe is up in the air now, but hopefully we should at least have a Transformers issue or two mixed into the fray. But I suppose we'll find out soon enough. Meow.